Welcome into the I-80 Club. It's a Tuesday. We're on a day early this week. We very much appreciate everyone for joining us. Josh, Jack, hanging out live. Jack, what's going on? How are you?
I just found out that one of my competitors got asked to PA a Lincoln East basketball game.
Oh, wow. That should trigger you.
It triggers me a lot. That school acts like I didn't go there, and I'm not a local. I would take
local celebrity,
minor local celebrity.
Yeah,
I tweet about it all the time.
I was gonna say I know that you went to East because you never stopped telling people that you went to East.
But I'll say it. Then they ask James Kind, because he's the men's basketball PA guy for Husker basketball, instead of me.
Very sad.
What?
This is upsetting, Jack.
He's the morning show guy on whatever they call it, Kicks or whatever. He used to work at Froggy with me.
Oh, okay.
He's on the softball team. This is in the softball group chat.
This is not how I wanted to begin a glorious
I didn't either.
podcast.
I just looked at the text and it was like with 8 seconds left on the clock. I learned this. That song sounds like another song to me, and it's on the tip of my head every time that we have to start the show, and I can't think about it. It drives me nuts. Also, I apologize for wearing the blackest sweatshirt in history. Evidently,
dude,
it screwed up every bit of lighting that I've got. And if it looks weird now, this is the best we got it.
We hopped in together, and I said to Jack, why is your face so white? He looked like a ghost. Either that or he was very sick. And he was going to come on and say,
I was like, dude, I'm not going to pass out or anything. I'm fine. I think it's the black. Maybe I need to do like on TV when they take a white piece of paper, right, and put it up in front of everything. Maybe.
Hey, I forget. So the computer that you are using, it is a Mac product, right? It is a
what is on that envelope? Gross. There, did that fix it?
Nope, I don't think so. Jack?
It's my bar association thing.
Oh, perfect! Congratulations. Are you a lawyer again?
I am. I'm glad you asked. Yeah. Why don't we talk about that for a while?
Yeah. So, you're on a Mac, right? That's what you're using.
Yeah,
right now?
I'm on a Mac that used to be owned by one of the members of the club that I don't see very much anymore.
Yeah, Tyler, why don't you type very much?
Whoa,
I'll tag him right
first name alert. Jeez.
Oh, shit. That's right. Yeah, his name is Biff. My bad. Edit that out of the podcast. All right, there we go. I'm going to tag him. My bad. I didn't mean to say his real name. So at the upper part of your screen, Jack, is there like a little camera that is lit up in green? Because there is a thing you can do inside of there. If you click that, turn the studio light thing on. Maybe that'll help you out, look a little bit. Yeah, well, I mean, you have to leave it there. I don't really know if that. I don't know if it fixed it. So, all right, well,
look at that. Ooh,
yeah, the little the hidden background or whatever it's called. Yeah,
portrait.
Yeah, I never turn on portrait. Here's what it looks like for me. Yeah, it's just a little too uncanny valley. Yeah. I like it on. I like people to see my office. I like people to see what's going on.
Learning all of these things I can do with this thing. That's fun.
Well, welcome in. It's the I-80 Club. We're on a day earlier this week because of stuff I have going on tomorrow. So appreciate Jack moving. Appreciate everyone else for moving. We have decided because, and once again, Jack, we have realized it this week. No one is talking about Husker football right now, which is kind of fun. I guess. I don't know. I'm realizing I'm not totally hating this. So we were like, what should we talk about? And we decided on a chat sack. So here we are hanging out, and we are going to take your questions, and we have some really, really good ones, and we'll see where that takes us. A couple of reminders. No After Nebraska ball on Thursday. After the Rutgers game, Jack and Caleb will be there, so no podcast then. But you guys will be back on Friday morning for the Nebraska ball brunch show. So no worries there. You'll essentially get your post-game show a day later. You and I back on Saturday for Saturday morning coffee, and then next week kind of back to regular schedule. If you missed it also, Mike Schaefer and I did 2 NFL pods this week, yesterday and today. He was a little more optimistic yesterday than he was today.
I bet. I wondered about that.
Yeah, he had a bad time. We also talked about Coach Prime going to the Dallas Cowboys today. So if you want any of those takes, you can go check it out wherever you get your podcast. And if you're hanging out with us live, which only people in here are our patrons, go check out the RSS feed, your private one, because there are no ads built into that. So you get to listen to our takes gloriously without any ad interruptions.
That's right. That's right. I am doing a ridiculous amount. I mean, if you want to hear me say things about stuff for the next like 6 days. You can hear me so many places.
Yeah.
My own show every morning, weekday morning. Tomorrow I'm filling in for you. You're going tomorrow.
Yep.
On Thursday, I'm filling in for the KLIN afternoon show. On Friday, I am doing my show, and then I'm doing Nebraska ball brunch. On Saturday, we're doing our thing, and then on Monday, I'm back, and then Sunday we're doing after Nebraska ball, and then Monday I'm doing my show and your show with you.
Yes, correct.
Monday.
That's awesome. This is gonna be a great time. Plus, in a couple Fridays, you're gonna be back on the show. People have really loved it, Jack. You talk during commercial breaks.
They get very excited about that. I'm not sure why.
And then people are like, hey, do you know your mic's on? It's like, yes, I'm literally acknowledging every comment inside of the YouTube server right now. You got a phone call the other day. We were all very nervous that you weren't going to be able to join us. And then it got to end like right at the perfect time. So that was nice. Yesterday. Yeah. You were talking on the phone. Very serious.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, I'll tell you about that later. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. All right, perfect.
It was work related. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a little more boring, but I'm sure there's something interesting in there. Yep. All right. Yep. Shall we dive in, Jack? Shall we get to the chat?
Let's dive in. So we're gonna do some let's do some questions tonight. Is there anything we need to hit? Like people will be like, why didn't they hit this topic off the top? That's just like current events related. What are you doing, Adam? What is that? Any like current events right now that we need to hit before? Like I got nothing to say about Nebraska ball. I'll say plenty about that on Friday. Like you've heard enough about that on me, so I don't have anything.
I don't think so. I don't think there's really anything
I said it all after the game. No, I mean the football. Yeah. You know, there's I'm sure you guys talked about today. They're about the sort of some of the ideas and the possible changes of the calendar for football. I mean, that's somewhat interesting to me, but you guys probably covered it pretty well.
Let's put a pin in that. Maybe you and I can dive into it at some point in time, whether it's on Saturday or when you fill in on Monday and we're previewing the national championship game. But yeah, there's definitely some good ideas. I definitely would love to explore it with you to see what you kind of think about, some of the changes. Because I feel like that's the next big thing that's going to happen with college football. I guess there will be some more playoff changes that are going to come with seeding or home field advantage, or are we, sure it's going to stay at 12? Is it going to go to 14? Is it going to go to 16? But the thing that I am most interested in, I think right now, Jack, is actually the calendar, just because I feel like that can solve and fix a whole host of issues that I think are within the sport right now.
Okay. All right. We'll hit it at some point. I don't know.
So yeah, we'll put it.
I'll listen to what you guys said today on the show. I'm sure you did. By the way, I am watching this new indoor video game golf dance party thing that Tiger Woods
what the hell
is doing.
You're into this?
Yeah, I've never seen it before, and I hate golf.
I was
playing and watching, especially watching.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop watching it before this here tonight. Do you know what this is? Are you familiar with this?
I've heard about it. I do not watch it because
Tiger Woods and Roy McIlroy started this team golf indoor thing. It's like at a Dave and Buster's, but better. And
not for me.
It's a sim, but there's a real green, and it changes topography between every hole that they play. I don't know. It's kind of fun. And they're mic'd the entire time, and there's a bunch of celebs there. Like Serena Williams is there, and they're talking trash. Okay, whatever. Nobody's
all right. I just took a ton of screenshots of the chat set questions so I can have the regular live show chat open at the same time that we get to this stuff. So shall we, Jack? Shall we dive into the questions?
Sorry about my lighting. I'll never wear this shirt again.
Yeah, never again. We will go in reverse order. And so we start or what order? Correct order, I guess. Never mind. Why did I say reverse order, Jack? I have no idea. We begin with Corny. Rank these in order of desire. Nebraska ball NCAA win. Nebraska football playoff berth. He spelled berth wrong. Nebraska CWS berth. He spelled berth wrong again. I-80 gets to 500 paid members. Or pro team of choice plays for but loses a championship. What is the order, Jack, that we want to see those things happen?
Let me think. That's a great question.
Tremendous question.
Okay, I got to. I'm going to pull it. Maybe I can see them on my phone. I have the.
Here, I'll read them to you again. Nebraska ball NCAA win. Nebraska football playoff berth. College World Series. I-80 gets to 500 paid member. Pro team of choice plays for but loses a championship.
500 paid members.
Man, I'm gonna figure out the math of what we're making right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, could you put a number on that? Yeah, exactly.
If we correlate that, like Jack, I mean, what is happening with our careers right now? All right, so I'll do that number divided by that number.
You're the worst.
All right, and then I'll multiply that. Jack, I'll text you. You what we would be making monthly, and then that can you can decide if this is a good number or a bad number.
About 4.5 times a little amount. Basically.
So we'd have the number I sent you divided by 2 is what you and I would be making if month we got that one. Yeah, per month.
Okay.
I mean, we can't live on that.
Yeah, no,
It'd be pretty cool though. It'd be pretty cool.
It'd be
Adam
cool,
says,
but
paste the question. All right, I'll paste the question.
Yeah, paste the. Come on. Somebody else could do that. Josh is doing
yeah,
a show.
Why? Yeah, somebody else can do this. Please.
I will say, okay, I'm going to surprise people with this. I would say, do you have a prediction on what my number one is? Because I don't know that, like, you're not gonna. I mean, you're not a fan of half this stuff, so like you'll
not a fan of half this stuff. What are you talking about?
You don't give a crap if Nebraska basketball or baseball has success.
Well, okay, why do you always say this? Why do you always
because
say
it's legitimately true?
Nebraska basketball.
I learned it from you telling me it.
No, Nebraska basketball winning their first tournament game would be the bee's knees. What are you talking about? That would be great.
Shut up.
That is your number one. It has to be your number one.
No,
it's
either
not. That or football.
It's not.
Is it football?
Football. I mean, if those are the two things, an NCAA win or a playoff berth, I would say a playoff berth is number one on those two. Does that shock people? It feels way bigger. It just feels way bigger than a single win in the tournament.
This is incredible because you are the person who is the king of Nebraska basketball fans. Remember, I made that graphic and you cut off somebody's head inside the graphic. And then you're like, oh, I'd rather have football because I'm a normie. This is stunning to me, Jack. This is stunning to me.
Well, if you would say gets to the
Sweet 16?
Sweet 16, that might make it a...
Dude, they win their first ever game. You get to celebrate it. We're doing pods left and right.
But then they lose. They lose. I don't know. The playoff is so fun. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. That'd be wild. Yeah. It's really close. It's close. If it was the Sweet 16, I think I'd say basketball. But for one, I'm going to say football. I'm going to say football 1.
And then is it hoops?
Hoops is 2 for sure. I mean, those are 1, 2.
Yeah.
3 would be plays for but loses championship. I mean,
see, that is such a brutal part. If it was just plays for the championship and you don't know what happens, that would easily be my number one. But the idea of the Dallas Cowboys losing,
knowing they lose, that's brutal.
Sounds horrible.
Well, and I
think I might put that one last.
Pro team. I'll go football, basketball, money, CWS.
Yeah, we have the same order.
And then the pro team thing last.
ID Club having 500 paid members would be sweet because we'd also have a shitload of YouTube subscribers, and this thing would really be taking off. That's the goal. That sounds. Look,
that's true. If I counted that other stuff, maybe it would move up even higher. But I did put up. Sorry, baseball. I put it above baseball though.
Yeah, Corny says all those things happening for Nebraska sports is good for the club and Josh's day job, though. Yeah, Jack, I would love to live in a world where Nebraska makes the College World Series. I've never seen it happen. Well, I've seen it happen, but I've never gotten to cover it.
But you were like 2, yeah.
Yeah, I was 2. Is that what you said?
I don't know what age you.
I was 13. I was 13, 14, or 12, 13, and 14.
I don't get all of the math for young people on when they were born.
I was a child.
Things
Keena says Josh is a success-hating media member. That's true, Jack. I do hate Nebraska. Everybody knows this. So yeah. Sorry, everybody. Sorry, baseball fans.
Okay, what do I mean? I know the vast majority of our crew is going to be Nebraska football number 1.
Yeah.
But what about some of you who are like D-Dub is a big basketball fan, as he said? Oh, he'll take the basketball. All right.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you didn't, honestly. To get their first tournament win would be one of the most special days of your entire life, and you'd rather...
Do you know how I'm thinking of it, though? And this is dumb. I don't know why I'm not thinking about this about the playoff, but I'm already thinking about the loss in round 2. I guess maybe I'm assuming they lose in round 2.
Okay.
Which is not necessarily
You're already thinking about round 2. Do not look
gift
horse in the mouth, Jack.
I'm so worried about this second round game. Oh my gosh. They're going to screw it up.
What would be the worst part about the second round game is it would be like the first game on Saturday. And so it would be the worst part about March Madness's first weekend is that they backload the schedule. So it's one game at a time, one game at a time, one game at a time. And then it's all the other games.
Right. Which I don't know why I don't apply that same logic to football, because I mean, if they made it,
masturbator, are you assuming they win the playoff game? Yeah, Jack.
Right. No, I'm not. It's my weird. I do this, and it's fine to critique me for it. I have different standards for Nebraska football and Nebraska basketball, and my standard for Nebraska basketball is way tougher than it is for Nebraska football. I will be quicker to criticize Nebraska basketball than I will football. It baffles people. And
Jack, you are what you hate in football season about Nebraska basketball. You are what you hate.
That might be fair.
Let's remember this for next fall when people are critical of Nebraska football and you're like, why can't we all just be positive together? Even though you talked a lot of shit about Del Raiola and the Facebook comments, we're having a field day with you, Jack.
Oh, people were sending them to me. Like, why in the hell is that the first thing you picked? Me saying something quasi-controversial and negative, which I rarely do.
I know.
And that's the one that you pick, and clickbaity garbage. And now I'm public enemy number one of the program, basically.
Yeah, well, sorry. Matt, Jack is consistent, though. He never talks about basketball assistant coaches.
Yeah, I'm not railing on Nate Losner going out. I'm talking about the players.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
I do like, this is my new favorite Jack bit, is the idea that no one talks about players. You're kind of right. I mean, you're kind of right. So people did shit on Isaiah Nayor throughout the football season. So, next question, day fight. Since no coordinator is perfect, sorry, Jack, this is going to be a coordinator question, I guess. Let's assume
this is fun. I like this question. This is a great
question. Special team coordinator will have some deficiencies. Prioritize where you want Nebraska to be excellent and where you'll be understanding if they're mediocre to bad. So he gives us, again, 5 choices. Punting,
for a new
kickoffs.
Special teams coach.
Yes. So punting, kickoffs, kick returns, which are both on both punts and kickoffs, field goal kicking, accuracy and range, or kick blocks, punt, field goal, and PAT. Are we assuming, Jack, that for the last one, kick blocks also means the protection against them happening to you?
And does he have punt returns and kick returns as separate things, or are they both the same? He's just saying
both the same.
So it's just returns, blocks / let's just include block coverage.
Yep. Kicking accuracy,
field goals,
and then kickoffs in general, punting in general. DW says field goal kicking, no doubt. I would agree.
Field goal kicking 1, returns 2. No doubt. Those are 1 and 2.
D'Lo says punting number 1. That's interesting. I think I would.
No. Nebraska has been okay with punting. Definitely not great. The returns have been so bad. I am dying. I am absolutely dying for Nebraska to look like any other team in the nation on punt returns.
This is a fair point. You're bringing up a good argument right now, in that we have seen average to above average punting, we have seen horrific returning for years, and that has really cost Nebraska.
Listen, of all of the bad special teams coaches that Nebraska's had, some of them have still done okay on punting.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay? So
that's a good point.
I don't know if that is reading in too much of the question, but I might put returns ahead of field goals.
Yeah.
I might put returns ahead of field goals.
I would go field goals number 1. Having a confident kicker is such a game changer. And thank you, Adam. He just posted the screenshot of that question. I very much appreciate that, Adam.
Great job.
Yeah, I'll go kicking 1. I will go. You have given me a solid argument, Jack. Yes, field goal kicking 1. I will go returns 2. Oh man, do I want to go punting? I kind of want to go kickoffs last. I know that it's an important part of the game, but I just
actual
I could take
kickoffs?
all the other actual kickoffs.
What does bad kickoffs even look like? I don't even know what that is.
If the team can score, if they can return on you,
you mean if they're getting returns? Yeah, I guess
that's certainly bad. Kick blocks, I think, would probably is that third. Is that just call a fair catch. Exactly, Josh. Just call for a fair catch, and who cares?
Yeah,
I
would go
as long as your coverage is okay, and if you're good at kicking, you should be able to kick it out of the end zone.
So I'll go blocks 4 and kickoffs last.
Yeah.
So I'll go field goal kicking, returns, punting, kick blocks, kickoffs is my order.
Corey says Audie Canal against Texas is what it looks like. Pain, Jack. Absolute pain. What a jerk.
Or the Florida State kicker against Nebraska in the Orange Bowl.
Or the Florida State kicker.
1993, who kicked it out of bounds and gave Nebraska a chance. Then Trumaine Bell got a big catch, and I thought the game was over, and I thought it was going to be the most amazing thing ever, and that Bobby Bowden was going to be dripping with Gatorade, and he was going to lose the national championship. That because Nebraska won the next two, the pain really of that moment has been canceled. Yes. I don't think it should be. I don't think
there's a erasure of the pain of that night.
Yeah, there is.
Jack, can you imagine if we were doing a podcast and we were like, we will be doing a post-game show after the 1994 Orange Bowl against Florida State, and then we had to do a podcast after that Orange Bowl? Can you imagine how miserable that show would have been? Can you imagine having to talk about that on YouTube for 90 minutes right after the game?
Wild.
That would have been the worst day of your life.
Oh, it was us that kicked it out of bounds. Okay. Oh, I remember. No, Florida State had a personal foul that gave Nebraska yards on the kickoff. Nebraska was the one who kicked it out of bounds in the FSU game winning drive.
I didn't realize that.
Got him backwards.
Yeah.
I knew there was an out of bounds kick on one of those two, but yeah, Florida State I think had a personal foul on the extra point, maybe.
Ouch.
It was a field goal. It was a field goal. Right, they kicked a field goal. I think there was a personal foul on it, so they had to. It helped Nebraska out, though.
Yeah.
So Matt says returns, field goals, punting, punt block, kickoff. So yeah,
kickoff.
I had 1 and 2 flipped, but I'm kind of close to that. So.
Ooh, D-Dub, can you imagine winning that game? Because if YouTube exists, there would be instant replay, which could have changed the game. Yeah, I guess that's true. If it's happening now. It's happening in the YouTube era. There are reviews, and maybe the penalty at the goal or the fumble at the goal line happens where Florida State fumbled it and they didn't score a touchdown, and then Nebraska wins regardless. Very sad. Maybe someday we'll get to see it. Jack, Connor says, how much candy can you fill inside a chat sack?
Inside a chat sack?
How much candy?
The only thing I know about the chat sack is Sam's graphic for it. So
thank God Sam is asleep right now. Thank God Sam goes to bed at like 8:00, and so he hasn't posted a photo of a ball sack with hairs all over it.
Yes.
Thank you, Sam. Hope you're doing well. Respond to my message on Strava, Sam. Do we want to do this one?
You messaged him on Strava? Just
it was a running specific question. I didn't want to send it.
Message him on.
I don't have his phone number.
You could message him on Discord.
I probably have to do the thing where you add him as a friend and then like.
What did you first send him a LinkedIn message? Oh my gosh, what a dumb way to message.
That's how we connected for the pod when he came on Chasing 3 Hours.
I hate when people message you on like the most secondary ways possible.
That's how we've talked when we have conversations.
You're on the same damn Discord when we talk all day long.
I don't want to tag him in a thread and be like, hey, what's going on?
Freaking message him. Oh my gosh.
Jack, remember when you message people on here, you have to add them as a friend. I tried to add somebody as a friend recently. They just never accepted it. So I could never send him a message.
You could see if he still has a MySpace page that's up. And you
Good
could.
Lord. It's a normal thing, Jack.
No, it's not. It is absolutely not to go. Of all the ways to contact someone through Strava messaging, which I didn't even know existed, to be honest. I did not know you could message someone on Strava to be that. He's not going to see that for 5 years.
That's not true. He's on Strava every day.
Yeah, but nobody checks their messaging on a non-messaging
app. It's in the right corner. It's like message.
Well, let me see if I have any Strava messages I've been
Probably
missing.
Not, Jack. Nobody messages
probably
you on Strava.
You don't know that. I have a big following there.
Yeah, you do. You're definitely gaining people. Wow, this is unreal. This is unreal.
You know what? This shows how good a shape I've been in. It offloaded on my phone because I haven't used it enough to preserve memory. Was ICQ not available?
This is unreal, folks. Folks, this is absolutely unreal. Back to the question. Do we want to do the one from Matt about professional goals? Do you want to, or is that too sappy right now?
What's the question exactly?
What is one professional goal you have for yourself outside of the I-80 club, for the I-80 club, or for you in the I-80 club? So it's like, what kind of goals do you have? And what do you, Keen, I always send messages through the Papa John's app. I hate all of you. I hate all of you.
There it is. Keena once again.
You all suck.
Funny per word.
Here's
Keena is the champion
my
again.
goal for the I-80 club is for people to normalize Strava messaging. That is what I'm hoping for from the I-80 club. Here you go, Jack. I'll tie it in with a former mailbag question.
Papa John's.
500 paid subscribers. That's my goal within the I-80 club. I don't know. I have a
No, it's a non-I-80 one.
I thought it was for the I-80 Club or for you in the I-80 Club. It was
I thought it was
question.
anything but the I-80 Club.
I read that as both. My professional goal has always been I would love to go to a market where I could cover a pro team, but that sounds always weird when I tell people like, yeah, I'd love to leave Omaha.
You're going to leave the I-80 Club in Omaha?
Exactly. Yeah. No,
wow, are you breaking news right now?
No,
wow.
there's no
Why
news.
wouldn't you just message me privately on Strava if you're going to do
this? This is the worst. Now this is what it's like to be you, where you just get bullied constantly.
Yeah, welcome. Welcome to my world. Welcome
to You just got Jack Mitchell, bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, this is I-80 Club related. I don't know what. I mean, get bigger.
500 paid subscribers.
Get bigger.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think I can be honest about this. If we're talking about I-80 Club, I would like to add more of our friends that we love doing content with.
Hell yeah. That sounds fun.
Which, we're working on a little bit, and we would like to do more.
All right, perfect.
That would be a big to work with more people that I like working with, or have wanted to work with. So
I love people that I like. I love people.
That's a great call. I agree. Love people that I like. One of my favorite groups of all groups of people I like that are probably top 5 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Them and like musicians, but I really like people I like.
Yeah. People that we like or good. Let's see. Husker. Work with more than just Josh, eh? Yeah. What's up with this?
Dude, I don't know if you know this, but I don't know if you know this, but Josh does a pod with Mike Schaefer every morning.
Just Mondays and sometimes Tuesdays. Just
well,
sometimes Tuesdays.
How many mornings this week? 2?
Just 2. Yeah, man, people do love that NFL pod, and I do too. I have so much fun with Schaefer.
I do. But
it's unreal. I listen to every damn Nebraska basketball episode you do. And you've never listened to any of my side projects.
Josh, you will never be able. You can never have the high ground on this issue. Just admit you could do a billion podcasts and you'll still be behind, like polite listening.
You talk about.
You will always be that. You will always be behind me because I listen to your show. Our number one full-time job.
Yeah.
If you want to put like a bar graph.
Yeah.
Of how many times hours spent listening.
Yeah.
Mine
TSL?
to your show.
Yeah. It's
versus
tough.
versus the other direction.
Jack, every time I turn over, you guys are in commercial or it's like a.
I'm not. Listen. Okay. Number one, I'm not asking for a critique. I'm just explaining.
Yeah, Alex says, Jack, you should listen live. Jack, why didn't you just listen live this morning at 8 a.m.?
I'm doing my GD radio show that none of you. My show runs from 6 to 9 a.m.
Not from 8 to 8:10 though. It's like commercials and newscasts. You could have tuned in then. We were talking about Coach Prime going to the Dallas Cowboys. You might have enjoyed it.
Can't wait. Got to get on. See what they're saying.
Yeah.
Got to get on for this few minutes here.
You didn't even listen to the Kirshner interview. That's the stunner for me. Kirshner, he joined the I-80 Club. We need to hit him up. We need to see if he wants to come on the pod. All right. Let's see. Back to the questions. Sam asked before he went to sleep and posted pictures of nutsacks, will Indiana come back and win tonight? Jack, what's the score of the Indiana game? I saw they were getting absolutely murdered. Absolutely murdered.
Indiana is?
Oh, do you not know about this?
A basketball game tonight? I've been watching golf. I told you. I've been watching indoor dance party golf all night. That's the only sports I know about right now.
They lost at home to Illinois. They were down 60-32 at halftime, and they lost 94-69. They had a bad one.
Nice.
They had a really bad game. Yeah.
Yikes.
Surprised you didn't know about that. All right.
Dude, Woodson isn't going to make it through the season.
They were chanting "Fire Woodson, Fire Woodson."
I can't believe he made it
Huss
through
asked, here's a question.
Season.
I have absolutely no idea what your show is, Jack. Is there anything you talk about that's interesting for a Virginian listener?
I don't know. It's not interesting for anyone else, even Josh.
You can't be from Virginia.
You guys are really beating me down over this. Probably not. No.
I listen sometimes.
Listen, we don't have to play this. We don't have to play this game, okay? But all I'm saying is we don't have to play this game. Let's just not turn it around on me.
Okay.
If I miss some of the in all the Josh Peterson content I take in all of the time, if I don't quite get all of it. So.
Matt just had a comment, but Matt, that is again a critique, and Jack doesn't want critiques of his show.
Listen, I know what he's saying, that he thinks that would help a ton. It wouldn't. Okay.
It would help a little bit.
with almost no one.
Keena, Virginians love unicameral talk. Yeah, they do. They're huge.
Yeah.
They're huge into it.
Yes, I mean, like it's not about me not being on YouTube.
Jack, I would
there's-
watch and listen a
you
little
guys,
bit more. It'd be
you would
easier. I
watch
could
it one
rewind
time
stuff.
and then you'd be like, yeah, it turns out it's not for me. So, glad I got on YouTube. Like there's so many dynamics to that I don't want to get into.
Yeah.
That there's so many dynamics.
Okay.
It sounds easy. It sounds great. It's not like the IIT Club where I'm just like, oh, that's a cool innovation. I should do that.
It actually is really easy. I mean, we did it, during COVID, but it's okay. It's okay. Back to the chat sack. I'm sold. I'll give it a try. Awesome.
It's a very good show for the right audience, but we had a thing once on here where we people listened to it and they gave me their feedback, and
I'm sure you love that.
It generally wasn't good.
Really? What was the critique? What do people say about your show?
Oh, well, I mean, first of all, you always complain about the way our podcasts are formatted, so there's that.
No, to be fair, I'm mainly doing a bit when I say that. Timestamps would be sweet, but I understand that that's really difficult to do.
We've been asking posts to get that to work, to do chapters. It's frustrating. No, it's just it's pretty. I don't know. Maybe it is good. I don't know.
I mean, you've
Whatever.
lasted this long. Your show must be good.
Well, it's good for someone,
Joe says Banks just staring at the door. Yeah, what in the world? It's like
let him out. You're stressing me out. Will you let your damn dog out? It's freaking me out.
No one's out there. Rich isn't home.
What is he just going to tear the house apart?
No, hey, lay down, buddy. Lay down. It's okay.
Just let the dog.
He wants his snack. He wants his nightly snack. His body clock is off. So our show was live today until 6,
Adam.
but I got to leave at 5:30. So his night is kind of thrown off right now because we went for a walk earlier than normal. He ate dinner earlier than normal. Yada yada yada. Jordan says, Jack, since the national title is in a few days, what is the most you would be willing to spend to go see your team play for the championship?
This is a great question. Let's see, if Nebraska got to the national title, the most. So are we just talking about the ticket itself, and just assuming there are other costs associated with it.
That's a great question.
Maybe that's the easiest way.
Yeah, let's just do the ticket. Let's just do the ticket.
Where would of course it's going to cost you another, several. It probably cost you another couple $1,000 to get there, but it feels more reasonable to spend that on travel and hotel and stuff.
Isn't that amazing?
It's going to be the thing that's inflated.
Yeah, because the average price for the Natty on Monday is $4,000.
Yeah, there's no way, man. No, yeah, there's no way I would pay $4,000. It obviously depends on how much money people have, but
I couldn't afford that.
There's no way I could justify $4,000.
I could barely afford $500 for a ticket, so I would probably say $500.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, if it were something that was, I feel like 1,000 is for some reason there's a mental block at 1,000.
Yeah, it's a lot of money, man.
Going over 1,000 for a football ticket seems unless I'm independently wealthy, unless we have those 500 subscribers that you talked about.
Yes, if we can do that, then I'll spend $1,000 for sure.
Matt spent $1,500 for one World Series game. That's an interesting question. What's the most expensive ticket you've ever bought? I don't even know what that is for me.
Well, Riss and I was gonna go, but then I was like, I don't really want to go because the Eagles kept pulling games out of their asses last year. She and I bought tickets to the Chiefs-Eagles game, and that was $300 a pop. And so I think that's the most and so it was $600 on our end, and she ended up taking her sister, and I don't think she charged her. So probably that's probably the most I've ever spent on tickets. For myself, probably I went to the Big Ten Championship game in 12, and that was probably $7,500. I don't really go to games, and so Jack, I always worry about spending money and then they lose, and then it's well, that was a waste. I hate thinking about that type of stuff. So that's why I don't like spending a lot of money on games, because if they lose, then it's it's a double nut punch.
It wasn't just one game, but I spent quite a bit to go to the Big Ten tournament in Chicago, and then that was the whole thing. And then I tried to sell some of my tickets on the way out after Nebraska lost to Wisconsin and got jobbed by the refs, and some scalper dude outside of the place pulled a quick change thing on me and stole one of my tickets.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh, I have a tweet about it. Yeah, I was going
to say, I think I remember this.
Yeah, I got he was obviously very experienced. I ended up without my ticket and with less money. I
Oh
still don't know how it happened, but like some kind of sleight of hand thing.
That sounds terrible.
And I knew he did it, and I was just like, I was in such a bad mood. I probably said some things that were not smart in that moment.
Yeah.
But
understandably so.
Yeah.
Understandably so.
But yeah, I can't think of what else I've spent a ton of. I went to the NCAA tournament. Like I went to the NCAA tournament like 20 years ago, but I don't think that was. We sat up in the upper deck of the United Center for those games. Like I don't even know what the highest level of. Well, I went to the. It was probably the Royals game that I went to this year against the Yankees. I spent over $100 on those. I don't know if I've ever spent more than like. I don't think I've ever spent more than $150 on a ticket to any sporting event.
And then there was a lot of pain on that night because he had to come back and do a radio show the next morning.
After friggin' Giancarlo Stanton had that rope right over by where we were sitting.
It's not Giancarlo's fault. Let's see. Bruce says, will Nebraska ever have a more hyped off season than last year? With Dylan coming in, chasing 3, and Nash joining the wrestling team, etc. The hype seemed unmatched. See, that's funny. Jack, I don't even think the hype from last offseason was that wild. Like, I feel like I've seen crazier hype seasons within the last 10 years compared to the 2024 hype train.
The only thing on that list is Dylan. I think that was truly affecting that. I don't think the hype was out of control because Nash was wrestling, but like,
Jordan says, I almost think 2019 had more hype. 2019 had way more hype. Year 2 of the Frost era, people were like losing their freaking minds. And I sense there's still a trepidation with Rule. And obviously it ended up panning out, right? They go 6-6 in the regular season so I think rightfully so. So I would say yes, there will absolutely be a more hyped season. I think of the hyped seasons in my life, I would actually say that the 2024 season was on the lower end. I felt people were talking themselves into it more than actually believing it. But maybe that's
because I think there was there was kind of a sense that you're going to have to wait a little bit for, they would have been correct, but for Dylan Raiola to.
Correct, yeah.
You know,
to like, really. What can he really do as a freshman?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, Bruce says, guess I wasn't paying as close attention in 19. Yeah, 19 was way more hyped. I mean, like.
Well, because Adrian was getting Heisman hype, you know.
Correct.
And I don't know, you know, they were probably. In terms of like preseason poll placement, I don't know when's the highest that they've been in preseason polls. Like,
the high 2010 they were in 2010 they were in the top 10. That would I would
preseason say was the highest they started preseason 2010.
Yeah, if you want to talk about post Frank Solich, which season was the most hyped? That last Big 12 season was insane. That summer, because remember they also had the Texas, the Red Out Around the World stuff. They leave a conference, like, dude, that summer,
Nebraska was preseason AP number 8.
They climbed as high as number 5.
They were 8 behind Alabama, Ohio State, Boise. What?
Boise was awesome that year.
Florida, Texas, TCU, Oklahoma.
Yeah, dude, 2010 was wild. I cannot imagine. Like, I had a college radio show, and that was like such a fun season. That team, unreal that they lost 4 games. What a ridiculous, stupid season. They started. What did they lose? They go 5-4 after starting 5-0. Just dumb. I'm getting triggered about Bo again. All right, back to the chat set questions. Next one is from JB. Does Nebraska football have the resources to consistently be at the level James Franklin has had Penn State at? Which program represents a realistic ceiling for Nebraska?
What's like the comp? That's a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. So many of these questions about this are about the NIL kitty, and I just don't know, Josh. Like, we hear things, but
can't
that's
say
what
definitively.
It is. Like, I don't know.
Can't say definitively.
I don't know. I wish there are people who know that stuff better than I do, probably.
Yeah, but Penn State is definitely not the comp to be like aiming for. Who is the program? Who's
in the
conference? Who's the? I don't know. You can go anywhere, I guess. Who's the realistic team to aim for?
I was gonna say like, oh man, this is gonna be depressing if I say what I'm thinking. Well,
Wisconsin.
Yeah, I was gonna almost say Michigan State, but like, you know,
that's depressing.
Wisconsin, like I feel like the ceiling's higher actually than like Kansas State.
That'd be nice.
Or Iowa State. Like I do feel like the ceiling is higher than those.
Yeah,
right.
The harder part is that you're in the Big Ten.
It's weird. Like it feels like the ceiling is higher than those, but on the other hand, you could see Kansas State or Iowa State going a run to the semifinals of the playoff.
Definitely. Yeah.
Like this year, you could have seen that.
Yeah, Jack, isn't it wild to say like Arizona State was a 4th and 13 stop away from making it to the semis. Arizona State was. So it's like, why can't that be the ceiling,
Yeah.
Now it's also in an era of the playoff that is going to change rapidly within the next couple of years. Like they're not going to have that same format that would allow you just to win one game.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's like that second tier, like it's in Oklahoma State. I don't know.
Though, Jack, one of the things that you've often talked about is like the younger generation finally getting to enjoy a season again, like what that would mean.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like on top of that, what would that mean for like recruiting? Like, could they're already a really good recruiter. Could they parlay a 10-2 season into like being like a really, really good recruiter? Where suddenly their ceiling is risen? Because right now we're talking about this in generalities because we have to conjure up what that would even look like if they were good again. But if they had consistent 8-9 win seasons, could their ceiling would rise in theory?
Right. Like
it's just
I wouldn't
happen.
It's just this weird thing because I've had for how many years you've been like Nebraska is no longer in the class where they can be contenders, right, for the national championship. On the other side, on the other hand, I should say, those teams I mentioned, like again, Iowa State, Kansas State, you could see them going to the semifinals of the playoff right now.
Yeah.
And maybe that's inaccurate, but as you said, Arizona State almost did. Now, if they change the seeding, that might
it's going to be hard
affect that a little bit, but
yeah.
But there's a handful of like second tier schools that I think in your mind it wouldn't be that crazy to say, yeah, they could make it there. Mm-hmm. But yet we sort of think of Nebraska as having more potential or more resources than those schools at very least, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Michigan State. I'm trying to think of Michigan State, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Iowa
Certainly
State.
A fan base.
I don't know who else.
More.
I don't know if anyone in the SEC could be that. Probably, like I don't know. That's kind of hard. If maybe there's not an SEC team that fits in that whole group that I'm talking about there.
With the recruiting component is always such like a difficult part for these discussions, like how it hurts Nebraska and it can help a myriad of SEC schools just kind of make their lives easier. D'Lo says Nebraska needs 10-2 at worst for any playoff chance.
Because it's just harder to get in the playoff is what he's saying.
Yeah, 100%.
That's true too. That factors in.
Yeah.
That factors in. But again, you think about it, Michigan State freaking made the 14 playoff.
Yeah, they did. Which seems like 100 years ago, and yet it was not even a decade ago when they did that.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild to think about? Like, I can't imagine Michigan State making it today. And they did it.
Right.
They were like,
they did it. Like it happens.
They were good.
Dude, it happens with team after team after team after team. Like we've been told so many times Nebraska will never be at a level for doing that. Well, other teams, now, did they get there in the postseason once the games happened? No, that Michigan State team got their ass handed to them by Alabama. But
yeah,
like just getting there, being able to start to get there, would be a major step. Like if you're making the playoff multiple times, it feels like you're in that group of teams that can win it. And especially that this year seemed to indicate that there's going to be more parity going forward. Like how much do you think the sport has changed in terms of parity?
I think it's changed a lot.
Because of the playoff, whatever else, NIL, transfer portal, all of those things.
It's flattened the sport.
But seeing, like, it really, like, you would have said, I'm sure you've talked about this on the air multiple times over the last 10 years, but is your answer now different about what Nebraska's ceiling could be in the sport than it would have been 5 years ago?
Yeah, I think it's probably changed. I mean, it also helps massively that you do have a 12-team playoff because for a while it was like, well, they're never going to make the playoff. That's an impossibility. Now, I absolutely think they could. They just have to get out of their own way. Like people are bringing up Indiana. Yeah. Matt brought up Washington as an interesting
Washington is another one. They got the
less consistency,
championship.
but higher ceiling. Yeah, it's like, come on.
Like, from what I've seen, the things we brought up, Michigan State, Washington, Indiana, Arizona State,
Yeah.
Iowa State and Kansas State, like hypothetically.
They were in the mix. BYU was in the mix.
Josh,
Colorado was
BYU,
in the mix this year.
We're saying that stuff. And I understand, again, what D'Lo said about the Big Ten, but Indiana, Michigan State, Penn State. There's no reason anymore to feel hopeless about this other than everything they do sucks. But like there's no
how they
if
act
they
on the field.
if somehow they ever stopped sucking at all that stuff, I don't think there's any reason to feel hopeless about the chances of being a player and like getting now you're 2 games away, right? From the national championship. Somebody gets a bad injury or whatever, Well,
hell, Jack,
it's a more hopeful situation than it's been in a long time.
And I know, look, this is way higher end, but I, for the longest time, thought Notre Dame's place in the sport was kind of dumb.
Notre Dame.
And now they're back in the championship game, and on their way, they beat an SEC champion, They're playing for a national title on Monday. So I think the sport's changed immensely.
SMU,
Yeah, SMU's in the playoff.
They've got their own, money situation.
Sure.
But Miami. Sure. Yeah. Anyhow, okay. That was an interesting discussion.
Totally unrelated question now from Mike Schaefer, and he has a few of them for us. Who is the one member of the Nebraska media you'd like to have co-host a show with you that you've never worked with in any or in that capacity before? Not in any capacity. So, Jack, you can co-host a show with a Nebraska media member that you have never worked with in that capacity. Do you have like an obvious name? You got 2 names.
I have 2 names. Do you have one or 2?
I can let you go. I'm gonna find a name in my head. I will find somebody.
So I have 2. One of them I know, but I've never worked with in the capacity. I guess I've been a guest for them, and the other one I've never talked to in person.
Okay.
The one I know a little bit is I think Michael Bruntz is one of the low-key funniest guys in all of Nebraska media.
Bruntz is great.
And I've never done, I'm sure I've interviewed him on your show. I've been on some of his podcasts, but it's never been like a one-on-one, let's do a show together situation.
Okay.
But I think a lot of how funny and quick he is. And just his, he is the trademark dry sense of humor that is great. So
that's a good one.
I like him a lot. So that would be one. Then the other one, this is a person I don't think I've ever talked to. I've heard on your show, I've followed on Twitter, and I think we would get along, but maybe he doesn't think that. But I would like to work with Chris Basnett sometime.
Oh, Bass
just when I
awesome.
watch his tweets and and the stuff he does on interviews and the things, I don't know. Like, again, I've never talked to him in person at all.
Yeah.
So
Baz is very funny. Baz is very funny.
He strikes me as hilarious, very smart, very quick. I would like that. So those are mine. How about you?
I've never, and this is a guy who's done a million things, and he's done a million things with everybody. I have never co-hosted a show, though, with Sam McEwen, and I think that would be very interesting. And that is because I find Sam very interesting, and I think that we would have some lively discussions. And he's just someone where I would kind of like to pick his brain for 4 hours,
Dude, I'd listen to the hell out of that. You'd be good with him.
Almost come across more like an interview than it would a discussion. But I don't always agree with him, but I think that he puts a lot of thought into his opinions.
No, but you would be a great yin to his yang. That would be good.
So?
I think so. It'd be better than me and him, probably.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
D'Lo says, get Sam in the club. The only reason we've never asked Sam, we have never asked him is because he is one of those guys that everybody always asks. But, maybe in the offseason, maybe we reach out to Sam and see if
we're waiting for him to ask us. That's the cool way to do it.
We want to come on the Pick Six pod. Sam, we love the Pick Six pod. But yeah, we've never asked him before because he is kind of one of those local media members that is asked by everybody to do interviews, right. And we have certainly tried to avoid that. That's why we've never asked Sipple to go on either.
I will say this: I think a ton of him. I think if he does an interview, and regardless, people have been critical of him, and I'm sure I don't agree with everything. If he does an interview, number one, I'm listening, and then number two, on just kind of like a personal, sort of like social media, sort of sending messages type level every once in a while. He's been really, really kind to me. Even though we haven't don't know each other, but through some personal stuff when my dad died.
He reached out to me after my divorce.
Yeah,
It was very
like
nice. He didn't have to do anything.
He is just the kind of messages that he would send made me think a ton of him. And so like anybody, when people got mad at him about the John Cook thing, like that's never going to be a big deal to me. So that would be a big thing with him. Somebody said something about me doing something with Damon sometime.
You did used to do something, didn't you? He was on the Friday tailgate.
Oh God,
show,
he
right?
was on the original Friday Husker tailgate show. Was me, Bishop, Kugler, and Damon.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought that you guys worked,
but we weren't even in the same room. Like
That
I've
is
never
wild.
been in the same room with him. That's the only time we ever been on a show.
And I forget that was simulcast on the Zone, right? Because the Zone didn't have a morning show yet.
Correct.
Because that's how
they
I
simulcast that on the Zone. Yeah, I've never even like Gary even had me on a show when I was in Chicago for the Big Ten basketball tournament, and Damon was gone the day that I did it. So I don't even think I've done, unless I'm forgetting it, I don't even think I've done like an interview with Damon since then.
Oh, really?
Any kind. We've never been on any sort of a mic. All of our talking has been at our kids' basketball games or weddings or like some texts, that kind of thing. But we've never like had public conversations. So.
Biff has chimed in. Was at third grade basketball practice. I miss live shows and interacting. Yeah, see everybody. Biff is still alive, which is
good. Good. Well, I'm using his computer, so.
But this Bruce, I want to see the Jack Matt Peralt collab.
It would be interesting to put me together with someone who's like very abrasive and like negative.
Oh God.
Like,
yeah. What would that be like?
Other than you, but like that would be.
I'm right here, Jack. You're talking to me over the computer. Nero says the Sipple Parker Basnet era of the Journal Star podcast were one of a kind. Those podcasts were so freaking funny. So freaking funny.
I don't know that I heard that many of them, but yeah.
Oh, Jack, for a while, that was the best Husker podcast of any of the local papers or websites. It was so funny because their chemistry was unmatched.
Now, I think the show that would be maybe best out of all of these, because I know him pretty well, we haven't mentioned, and we're pretty good friends, is with me and Dirk. Because, well, you guys have seen when he's been on as a guest, but like he and I really go after each other as like really good friends. So like I would say he's one of my better friends of that group, but we give each other a lot of crap. So
yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Yeah, that would be a good one too. But other than the interviews I've done with you, well, I had him on my show weekly for like 5 years. But other than those, we haven't had that. So
Matt says I really want McMaster to have co-host with John for one show. I think he make John's head explode in some ways, and then in other weird ways they completely agree. Well, he did. They did overreaction together after the bowl game. So
to the extent that McMaster's tech worked. But
yeah, indeed. D'Lo says Dirk and Damon would be amazing. Like everyone's just wish casting a bunch of shows together.
Yeah, there you go. Wish cast your favorite dream team for a show.
A couple others from Shafe real fast. Would you be a better offensive or defensive coordinator?
I love that question. I mean, if I was defense, I would blitz, whatever that even means, all the time. Yeah, because I know from how I play video games.
Am I creative enough to be an OC? I don't know.
I think I might have more fun as a defensive coordinator, but I'd probably be a better offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I'll go the
conservative because I'd be way more conservative as an offensive coordinator.
You'd be like bomb the ball, but you would just hand it off for 2-yard gains.
I do a lot of run. I would be a study in just like extremes.
Yeah, and then you'd read message board posts after the game about you, and you'd get pissed.
It would be three things. It'd be a lot of bombs. It would be a lot of super conservative running decisions, and it'd be a lot of quarterback scrambling. So
nice. And then his last one: what fast food item is criminally underrated by the public at large? Jack, you and I agree on this. I think the answer is the sandwich.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah! I forgot that we agreed. I didn't think we agreed on that.
Handshake meme, baby. It is such a good sandwich. It is such a good breakfast item or such a good fast food item.
It's so good. I mean, I wouldn't even care if I'll say this. I'll say it. I'm not scared. I wouldn't even care if McDonald's just stopped selling breakfast. If I have never, and I will never choose McDonald's over Burger King for breakfast. You like that? You guys like that?
That's a good take.
Is that white hot enough for you?
I do wish that
you glad you paid for this now.
I like the potato cake better than I like the potato whatever they're called.
1,000% disagree. That's a terrible
Well,
take.
that's fine. Hey, at least we're agreement on the Chris sandwich. Let's see.
Other. Do you have any other fast food ones? Let's see. D'Lo says the Taco John's breakfast sausage. I'll tell you an underrated
Never
one.
even had that. Deal, I don't even know what that is. That could be a pretend fake food.
Have you had the Taco Bell breakfast, like fold over octagon things?
No, but Riss has made one for me before.
Oh, well, I don't. I'm sure hers are great, but we're talking fast
food. They are. Yes, they are. I just want to make sure that everyone knows my wife's cooking is amazing.
Those are way underrated.
Yeah.
Those are very good. Then just like in terms of non-breakfast, it's my head always goes to breakfast.
Yeah, I do love breakfast.
It's hard.
Well, yeah, if I think of otherwise fast food, I just think of like fried chicken, like Popeyes, because that's what I want. I want Popeyes.
I think I've said this in the Discord before, and I've had people who agreed with me, but like Culver's chicken sandwiches will sneak up on your ass. You know, I've said that many times.
They're fine. They're fine. Every time I
Josh,
have one, I'm like, I wish I would have went to Popeyes.
I think. Did you order the spicy one?
Yeah. It's fine.
Try it again. It'll sneak up on your ass.
Okay, I'll see if it sneaks. Next time I go there, I will get it, and I will say, Jack Mitchell told me it sneaks up on me here. So we'll see what happens. Jack, do we want to save the game that you had for another time?
That's fine. It'll take like 15 minutes. It'll take. We had a lot of good.
God, this one from Corny, this also might be one we have to save because he said if you could be a fly on the wall for team coaches and player meetings practices for a 3-week period of Nebraska football during the last 40 years, what stretch do you take? What a question. What a question. I think we might have to, I mean, that could be its own podcast because I want to, like, the answer for me, I guess, is less team oriented. It would be when Nebraska started talking about going to the Big Ten Conference. I would love to know exactly how that unfolded over the course of 2010. And I mean, hell, if you wanted to go within that season, because G-Shram says always 2010. I don't know, find a weird stretch of that season. Maybe like the morning of the Texas game when Bo Pelini went and accosted a message board poster in the basement of the Husker Hotel, and then he still had to go coach the team that day. I mean, that'd be a pretty fascinating situation to be in.
Just because of what I was doing at that time, I feel like I had not all of the access that he's talking about, but enough access to that I feel like I have, and I have at least an idea of what it probably went like.
Yeah,
I'm probably still leaning toward Scott Frost.
Yeah,
you know,
hard to argue. That's good. Hard to argue.
Probably am.
Yeah,
and then maybe how long did he give us?
40
How
years.
Far back? 40 years.
During the last 40 years.
Yeah, I don't know what other ones I might have.
Yeah.
That's a good question though. Good question.
G-Shram, the end of 21 when they keep Frost. Yeah, I'd heard a story about that season, the day of the Purdue loss, that Trev Alberts was at I think his daughter's wedding or something, his son's wedding, and like he disappeared from some of the reception dealing with the fallout of Nebraska losing to Purdue. And then it was the next week that the next game they played Ohio State, they lost, and then they announced that he was returning. Because there was a rumor going around that they were going to fire him, like after that Purdue game, and I was chasing that story, but because he disappeared during his whatever's wedding. But yeah, it didn't happen. Very sad.
Yeah, Jordan says the basement of the Cornhusker. I mean, yeah. I feel like I wasn't there, but I feel like I know exactly what happened. Like I feel like I can probably.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I need to see it to understand it.
Ooh, Corny. Dublin to Georgia Southern.
That's a great Dublin. It is Dublin 100%. I can't. Yeah. It's Dublin. That's it. That's my answer.
Yeah, that's a really good one. That's a really
Dublin's
good one.
My
Adam,
answer.
How the F do you have your wedding that day if you're Trev's daughter? So remember, that would have been his first year on the job. So when they would have scheduled the wedding, he would have been the Omaha athletic director. He didn't give a shit about Saturdays.
Forget Bill Moose hired Scott. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet that was something that his daughter was like, it's good that we don't have to worry about it being a fall Saturday.
Here's another
surprise.
Here's another low-key one. The
Jordan, Oklahoma fiasco. Good call, Jordan.
Here's a 3-game stretch.
Okay.
1992, Colorado, Kansas, and then losing to Iowa State.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, like the more of a positive.
I wouldn't
one
say it was fun.
Well, I mean, the first two were fun.
The first two were like great blowouts against ranked teams, and then the third one was this unbelievable, shocking loss.
I got one for you. 1995, Michigan State, the fallout of the next day, and then the LP suspension that is to follow.
How about Tommy coming back for the end of the 1994
season? Yeah,
the Oklahoma to the Oklahoma game where he suited up and didn't wear 15, and then into the Orange Bowl preps.
Yeah, Dilo says 1995 Michigan State, maybe the night after. Yeah, I mean, here's if now this is a different question, but it's if you could have a question answered from the last 40 years that you would love to know, like. Mine would be involved with that night in 1995 and wondering who made the phone call to LP. We have never found out the answer to that question. I have a theory on who it is that I will not be saying publicly, but I have a theory on who it is, but we've never gotten the answer to who made the phone call.
Yeah. How about when Eric Crouch went and talked to Petito?
That's a good one. When he left Lincoln to come to Omaha. That's a good one. That's a really good one.
Adam had that. Good call, Adam.
Mm-hmm. Right. G-Shram, the 3 weeks in 94 when Brooks lung collapsed. Yeah, that's a good one just because it's like Wyoming the lead up to the Kansas State game, the Wyoming.
The Kansas State game. Kansas State game and the 94 game that I told you the story about Eckler coming and yeah. That would have been that week.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Turman starting it. Yeah, for sure.
Eckler and blackface.
Yep.
And that's the I-80 Club. This was fun. We need to do chat sacks more often. Man, it's a good time just to bounce around to a million
I agree.
things. There was a couple others that we missed. Brendan asked Dion, discuss. We did talk about him a little bit this morning on National Fun League. If you would like my thoughts on him and the Dallas Cowboys, I do not think that he will be the coach. I think it will be someone very underwhelming. And D'Lo, as we say goodbye, Jack, asks, who is on your hall pass list and why is it Kim Mulkey?
I one time 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Locker room talk with a coworker that I did not expect 15 years later would be not only remembered and just thrown out at the time. Which I mean, I'm glad D'Lo posted that picture. But anyway,
awesome. And that's the ID Club.
By the way, it would be Linda Carter. So
nice, excellent answer.
Linda Carter, circa 1976. Oh yeah.
If you enjoyed hanging out with us, if you have made it to the end of this video, if you have made it to the end of this podcast, we would love to have you as a patron at patreon.com/ID Club to help us on our climb to 500 subscribers. Patreon.com/ID Club is where you can join us. Right now, during this part of the sporting calendar, we are going on Wednesday nights. Well, or Tuesdays, I guess. We are going on Saturday mornings. We do a brunch Nebraska ball show on Friday mornings. We also have post-game shows after all but 2 of the remaining Nebraska basketball regular season games. And, Jack, after Thursday, we'll be able to say after all but 1 of the games the rest of the year. The only other one is the Washington game next month because that game tips off at 9:30. Mike Schaefer and I are doing National Fun League pods Monday mornings at 7:45 a.m. until the end of the professional football season. We're hoping in the offseason, I got to talk to him, but maybe we could do a little bit more, maybe a draft type show or something because him and I love talking about the NFL together. And as Jack said earlier, we are attempting some other things as well. So we're hoping that the club will be popping even a little bit more over the course of the next calendar year as we move on into 2026. But we would love to have you. We would love to have you here. We think we have a great time for as low as $5 a month. You can get access to every podcast for $8. You can hang out with the glorious patrons that we have, subscribers like Theo. More live reactions. Theo, we would love to have more live reactions during all of these episodes. So that would be great. Patreon.com/ID Club. So there you go.
All right. That was fun. Yep. Let's do it. We'll play. Remind me, we've got to play my game.
Yes.
Sometime. Because I think about this and I want to play it in the club. So
and we'll, now that it's the football off season, there's still going to be hoops going on, but we'll probably get a little fast and loose with some of the formats. The old heads for the subscribers will remember, Jack, the early days when we would just do like random media talk for like an hour, and we don't really do.
We kind of did a little media talk today. It's been a while.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
We got into it a bit today.
Yeah. So we'll do some of this type of different stuff as we roll on throughout the offseason.
Save the really good stuff for the ones that don't go public, though.
That is definitely true. Maybe we should do a non-public show again at some point in time where we're just like, this is staying behind the paywall.
Yeah, we haven't done
a Discord only show and we don't even record it.
Wow, that sounds hot.
Maybe.
Hot.
All right, for Jack, I'm Josh. Let's see. Next pod will be brunch on Friday. Have a great week. We will talk to you then. Jack and I back on Saturday for the Saturday morning coffee show. Goodbye.